To TajTalk.com. We're here in Durham at the Motorco for the Climate Conference Storytelling, and we are very happy to be here with the Dr. Thomas Rashad Easley, who is poet, professor, preacher, mentor, and he's here tonight to speak to the people. We're really happy to have you here. How are you this evening, brother?
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
So this is our first time having you on TajTalk.com. Tell us a bit about who you are, what you represent, and what we need to know about what you're doing.
I'm originally from Birmingham, Alabama.
All right.
I work over at North Carolina State University. I'm the university director of College of Natural Resources. I also teach there. I also lead a church there too.
All right.
On campus. And then I'm a hip hop artist. So I go by my middle name, Rashad.
Okay.
All my music, just like my sermons, just like my lectures, are all the same. It's about fighting injustice, equality, equity, and fairness for all people and all populations. That's what I'm about.
All right, so for this event specifically tonight, is focused on climate control. What aspect and perspective are you bringing tonight?
Well, growing up, by the time I got to being a teenager, basically outdoors wasn't cool. But I'm also an Eagle Scout. So I did a lot of things outdoors anyway, you know what I'm saying? And so being that I have a connection to the land, I realized that our people actually have always had a connection to the land. So my connection to the land is natural to me, but it's not original. It's original to my ancestors who passed that down to me. So I try to work with youth now in the community for them to get back out, enjoy outdoors, get your families outdoors, become your own ecologists, and let's repair our own neighborhoods instead of waiting for people to come and fix it ourselves.
So that's how we're going to kick off the night. Brother Rashad, we come back and talk to us more. Sounds like they're about to start the night. But this is Brother Rashad, poet, rap. You want to listen lyrics for us at some point?
You want me to do something real quick?
Go ahead, yeah, go ahead.
We need a change, y'all. Do you believe it? I feel a change coming on. Can you see it? You know we need a change. Do you receive it? Do something different, that change you can be it. We don't talk anymore. We just text it. We don't talk anymore, we just text it. We don't share when it hurts, we accept it. So afraid to open up, so we selfish. All the times and I guess we tell fit. It's a choice we can do something different. But when we want something, want to disman it. When others need us, we make them wait, charge us when it's my turn, don't want to pay. I feel for kids wanting it and that's happy. How goes the boys and girls without a daddy? Seeking love in the streets, they keep us under. Some white acting black like down in your tropic thunder. Some black acting up a class, so they forget the history and wonder why they lost their respect. You think the war is over, it just started, and that was going to happen before Barack left the office. Wake up, y'all. Wake up, wake up, wake up.
Discuss, define, Rashad just delivered. All right.
On a starry night, I am a child of Appalachia. My family ranges from the Cherokee foothills all the way up to the high forests of Pisgah. I have written about my grandma Lily, the first true love of my life, that she grew up just light enough to pass but not to matter. Married at 13 and raised 8 babies. My dad and his people were subsistence farmers, sharecroppers, poor white trash and worse, taken to the forest to gather firewood and hickory nuts, to hunt squirrel, rabbit, bullfrog, catfish, trout, sometimes even raccoon and possum. My grandma Etta brought all the Cherokee into our line, and hers was a family who chose during the Great Removal, like Marrano Jews, to hide in plain sight, assimilating into white culture and fading into the forest. They could not persuade their bodies to leave those hills, no matter how great the cost. Grandma was a fey hill witch, too. She pointed out the sacred places among the rocks and pathways under stone and by water, the trees of worth, the shy creatures of the air and earth and sky. She let me...
All right, TajTalk.com with an old friend, not old, but a friend of TajTalk.com. That's right, that's right. Brother Gary Phillips, thank you for being here. Thank you for rocking it just now, opening up. You know, it's always tough to follow a great open, but I think we're going to be all right tonight. How about you?
No, there's some great people. My beloved Scott Coron is coming up right now.
He's awesome.
Can you tell us about the Alliance and what you've done, what they've built up and why we're here?
Sure. I met Danna Smith, who's the executive director today of the Alliance for the second time, over 25 years ago. And I was one of her first board members, and I've been a board member of hers for over 10 years. When they made a transition, I went back to be a board member. One of the things we did that you'll be interested in is that we had a radical art group confronting the abuse of southern forestry by developing rituals in front of public hearings that were national or regional.
Nice.
And so we gathered some of the greatest preachers, Native American shamans, Jewish rabbis, and people like me in the South, and we'd get spiritual with it just before they went in to talk. And boy, it made a big impact because the media was very excited about that. Yeah.
Well, Gary, wherever you go, you make an impact. I always see you around climate control. I always see you around social justice issues. I got a feeling we'll keep seeing you around.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to get out here and catch some more of these guys. Thank you for being with us. Brother Gary Phillips, ToshTalk.com. Discuss, define, deliver.
I am totally humbled and honored to be here to represent Cole and Kayla Rassenberger, who are two of the people that have had a big impact on my life through the work that they've done and the passion and the love they have. So I'm going to tell a story in their honor called Burnout and Email. So everybody here knows that the struggle for social and environmental justice can really grind you down. The really difficult work of waking up every morning to take on the injustices in this world and to find the strength to continue that fight day after day after day. That internal struggle, that external struggle. And many of you probably have experienced this. I know I have, which is what this story is about. That moment in time where you just have had enough. You're feeling burnt out. You don't know that you can continue. You need to take a break. And that's the time when you want to reconnect with the earth. You want to take a walk in the forest. You want to experience nature. You want to be with your family and friends. You want to look to your deep faith. And for me, the last time that this really happened to me, the thing that brought me back from the brink was an email. So I was sitting...
ToshTalk.com. You guys just met Scott Coran's beautiful story about an email, a young boy who had the courage and will to try and change the world, and he affected it. That was a great story. If you want to give us a quick gloss over it, you can. If you want to tell us about what you do, I'm still whirling from that story, to be honest with you.
Sure. I mean, the story was of a boy named Cole Rassenberger who wanted to change the world and help protect the forests of coastal North Carolina. And the work that he did to convince McDonald's to change their packaging, and just believing all along, which was the best part of the story. And I mean, I think for me, you know, I work for the Dogwood Alliance and communications director. I've been working at to protect southern forests and communities for the last 17 years. But for me, the whole point here is just like the hope of our youth and the passion of our youth, and that if we don't squash it, if we support it, they can do great things. And we know this is the next generation. This is the generation that can make a difference. So if we can support them, we're going to have a better world.
One of our tagline, Tosh Talk, we discuss, we define, and we deliver. So it sounds like Cole had a discussion with someone.
Yes.
His mom reached out to you to help define what the issues were, and then he delivered with the postcard.
Yes.
And then got deliverables back by getting correspondence and exchange from McDonald's.
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
Man, that was a great story. Thank you for letting us be here.
We love having you here.
We're having a great time. We'll come back and keep talking to you, all right?
Okay.
Thank you so much.
And keep making it. So what I learned is how to manage a forest, in particular. No clean water, got liquor stores. No banks could housing can't afford. Got drugs, got guns, got poor. No boys, no books, gym floors. Dead pool, can't swim and lead my pores. Contaminated, mentally challenged, I'm sore. Get scholarships, but my body earns scores. I want to use my mind and explore. A cricket scared cop standing at my door. Say I resemble this dude that shot 4. But I don't own a gun, but I am at war. Praying about who came after the 44th. President evidence there won't be no more. Black folk for a while, not expecting support. That's a verse off of... Oh, go ahead.
Brother Shaw just rocked the house. Eagle Scout knows how to eat from what the world gives us, but just drop some real knowledge about our teachers. Tell us about who our teachers are now.
Our teachers are, I think they're special people, but I actually don't think our teachers are trained in how to deal with the issues of the world. They're taught to teach curriculum. They're taught that, and I dare not, negate that. But there's a lot more going on in our world.
All right.
And as I said in my thing, I think our best teacher is actually outdoors.
Tell us how. Where can we catch you doing some hip hop? Where can we catch you doing something where we can come put the camera out and just sit there and build?
Packapalooza, August 19th. I don't have a time yet, but me and my crew, the two fellas that I manage and work with, we're going to be doing the show out there.
Where's Packapalooza?
NC State, Hillsborough Street, in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Can you get TajTalk.com back there to do some interviews and talk to people?
I sure can. Yeah, whatever you need.
I've been known to get to the mic every now and then.
Oh, come on.
I'll let you get it. Not tonight, though. I'll let you
man, come on, man.
That'll be another
You got a verse for me, you know.
TajTalk.com. Good stuff.
All right.
I am strong like a tree, roots down into the mother, flow like the air, deep as the sea. Reaching for the sky, stars, moon, and heaven, powers that flow through me.
You know someone who knows not just mic technique, but how to assess what's happening with the vibration in the room and the acoustics, and just how you walk up, you set your voice. You need not to be right here on the mic, you need to be right here, and you just bring it, the song with the message. So, welcome to TajTalk.com. Nice to see you.
Thank you so much.
All right, tell us who you are, tell us what you do, tell us what brings you here today.
Thank you so much. My heart is just pounding, racing so fast. So I'm Jodi Lasseter, and I'm the founder and co-convener of the North Carolina Climate Justice Summit. And
that inspires you.
My purpose is to really cultivate this culture shift that moves us from thinking about each other and we're in the whole world as an object to dominate, and to instead really embody it with this real connection and this love and this respect that strong like the trees, roots down into the mother, flow like the air, deep as the sea. Reaching for the sky, stars, moon, and heaven, powers that flow through we. I always like that song that I learned from my friend Vidalia, because it reminds me of growing up in the Blue Ridge Mountains around Asheville. We have any Asheville people in the house? Yeah. All right. Y'all know what I'm talking about? And I remember playing in the creek behind my grandmother's house, looking at salamanders and crawdads, crawling up into the sycamore tree, trying to get as high as I could. We used to actually race each other up the tree to see who could get up there fastest. And I remember just being in the woods of the most ancient mountains in the world. And then there's also just a lot of really powerful work going on across the state right now to address issues around coal ash, hog waste, and the proposed Atlantic Coast Pipeline. So there are a lot of struggles against the pipeline for being built. It's a major environmental justice issue. By design, it's really targeting communities of color and indigenous communities. And so we're looking at, how do we mobilize folks to address what I'm calling the trifecta of climate justice issues in North Carolina in a way that builds our community strength and our ability, like I said earlier, to thrive. Because a lot of the root problems, if we deal with root solutions, can address all of the range of things we're dealing with around social, racial, economic, and ecological crisis.
Wow. Would you let us know about the November date? And if you don't mind, let us come out and hang out.
Of course, I would be so delighted.
For climate justice,
Got it.
it's just us.
It's just us. That's it.
That's a lot of just us, all right?
That's it.
We love you. Discuss the
Thank you so
fire
much.
talkstock.com.
Thank you. Powers they flow, powers they flow, powers they flow through we are strong like a tree, roots down into the mother, flow like the air, deep as the sea, reaching for the sky, stars, moon, and heaven, powers they flow through we, powers they flow through we, powers they flow through we, powers they flow through we.
Well, you know that we were Cub Scouts. And I remember that moss grows on the north side of the tree. And if there's no moss, it's a little damper. And I looked at the direction of the sun when we walked in, and I just tried to walk in that direction every time I glimpsed something. And I had enough sense to do what our scoutmaster taught us, which is to break a little bit of a branch now and then to mark your trail.
That's right.
I said, wow, the forest speaks to him as well. But as I grew older, what the world said to me became different. It didn't tell me about the refreshing rains. It didn't tell me about the teeming life beneath the waters. It didn't tell me about how the land provides life and the diversity that cannot be rivaled anywhere else. Instead, the world began to sing a different song to me. I would look at the sky, and the sky would say, our world is being rearranged by something they call climate change. I look at the water, and it moaned to me, the world is being rearranged by something they call climate change. I looked at the land and it said to me, the world is being rearranged by something they call climate change. And I said, what can we do to change what the world is saying? What can we do to change what the sky, the water, the forest, the land is saying? And then
Let's talk about that. We're sitting with the good Reverend Leo Woodberry. And where are you from, sir?
I'm from Florence, South Carolina.
All right. Well, how long you been in North Carolina?
South Carolina, 30 years.
Okay. So we're here at the climate conference. This brother just dropped some science, some knowledge. He dropped some poetry. But what he's going to let us know is what we need to be serious about and focused on. Tell us, Reverend.
Okay, so with the current administration that's in place, the federal doors are basically nailed shut in terms of change with environmental justice and equity, particularly of people of color and African American communities. And so when we look at the budget cuts, the rollbacks, the changes in regulations, all of those things that are about to occur, then we know that we're going to suffer even greater impacts than we have in the past, which literally means more children with asthma, more people with cancer, more people dying. And so because the fight has shifted now to regional, state, and local levels, that's where our bread and butter has been for more than 2 decades. People who are activists who do work in environmental justice community.
Yes,
people get funded off of the problems and the successes in our community. National organizations exist because their foundation is built on the work that we do in our community and the perils in our community. So with the shift that is coming, we really need to mobilize ourselves. We really need to triple our efforts to protect our people and to ensure that environmental justice and equity are not lost in this whole drive to have people enrich themselves with renewables, to make sure that people are not going to benefit with the things that will make the world better with climate change. But it's not just about glaciers melting. It's not just about polar bears. It's not just about wildlife. All of those things are important. But if we do not care for the least among us, that's how we got in this situation, because we didn't care where they sited the polluting facility, etc. If we don't care for the least among us, we're going to find ourselves in the same situation and we're going to find ourselves in the same kind of world that has led us to the point where we have a planet in peril.
I'm going to repeat that. If we do not take care and love the least among us, then we all suffer. Is that right?
That's correct.
So tell us where we can see it, what we need to know about that you're doing. If you have a website, organization, church, tell us where we can find it, keep up with it, all right?
Well, we have our church is Kingdom Living Temple in Florence, South Carolina, 2056 Second Loop Road. We actually have a group of organizations that work together along with the church. We have New Alpha Community Development Corporation, which is a 501c3, and we have the Whitney Unslated Foundation, which deals with health issues and environmental issues. And so our website is www.newalphacdc.com. Once again,
www.newalphacdc.com.
yes,
.com.
that's correct.
All right, and that's Alpha, ALPHA.
Correct.
All right.
New beginning.
New beginning. Well, it's my pleasure to meet you from South Carolina. I thought you lived here in North Carolina. You drove up to be here with us?
That's correct.
Well, our tagline at ToshTalk.com is to discuss, define, deliver. Thank you for helping us to discuss, define, and deliver. All right? All right. ToshTalk.com, Reverend Woodberry. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Leadership of Reverend Leo Woodberry. And thank you. And a shout out to Mustafa Ali, who is now with us. We had to leave it today. So, I'm going to try to get through this story. There's been a lot of amazing stories that came before us, and I'm just really appreciative of all the stories. I'm glad that some of the crowd left the room so I can let some of my nervousness go with less people. But this is hip hop, so I didn't have anything pre-written, so I'm going to tell you the story. I'm going to step away from the mic and come back and kind of pour out my heart. Because as I was thinking about some things, it really kind of touched me just to be in this space. So I grew up in a city or a little town, a little space called Pleasant Garden, North Carolina. In the Pleasant Garden, North Carolina, this is called the country. And in the country, in my backyard, I literally can go grab an apple off the tree. I literally can go to our chickens and get our eggs that we cook for breakfast. I literally can go and run through the forest. I can run through the woods and be so free. The neighbors would drive by and my parents stopped saying, "Stop waving at everybody." But I would wave at everybody as they drove down our dirt road.
ToshTalk.com, here with Brother T.C. Muhammad of the Hip Hop Caucus. He's worked with 2 Chainz, worked with T.I., worked with Biggie, but he works in the community. Tell us yourself, welcome to ToshTalk.com.
I appreciate this because, our cultural revolution is the revolution that we need. We need to get this story out. We need to let people know. So anytime people are doing recordings, putting out videos, it's very necessary because the world needs to see the stories. Not everybody can tell the story. So technology allows us to put the story out throughout the world. Internet allows us to do it. So this is very precious. The Hip Hop Caucus, we are that. We are hip hop.
Yes.
We use culture. We use hip hop to spread the message, to get young people involved in, get involved in their community, get involved in policy. Hip means to inform, hop means to move, caucus means together.
I like that.
So we try to inform people to get them to move together, and we can make a change in our lives and our communities.
I know you got an interview coming up. We want to look up with you, we want to look up with the Hip Hop Caucus, but mostly what you're putting out there, we want to be a platform for you to continue to share, continue to build, and continue to serve the people. Is that all right if we at ToshTalk.com and get with you? And since we're here in North Carolina, you're here in North Carolina, we can make it work.
I mean, we all over, and we have to hook up. One of the things that Reverend Leo Woodberry, the CEO and president of the Hip Hop Caucus, said, we got to break down the silos. We can't say, well, we got education over here, we got peace brutality over there, we need climate change over here. It's all together. We all need to work together, and we need our cultural people, we need our people in technology to spread the word. So we got to make this linkage. Because the reality is, we can't stop, won't stop. And this is not a game. This is about life or death. So we have to do something. We have to make a stance. We have to do something for our people. This is not about money. This is not about fame. This is not about popularity. It's about our next generation. That's right. So in civil rights, if we had lost that, we would have had a miserable existence. We would have been, segregated, water conflict, all that. But now we're fighting for our own lives, and climate change is affecting the planet. So if we don't save the planet, we die. And our next generation don't have anywhere to live, our next generation don't have anywhere to go. So we see this as serious, so we're trying to be and stand on the front line.
If we don't save the planet, we die. Literally. ToshTalk.com. Brother TC Muhammad, hiphopcaucus.com. We appreciate you, brother.
All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. ToshTalk.com. We are here, Motorco in Durham. Just finished up with storytelling regarding climate conference, climate change, climate control, whatever you want to call it. A lot of beautiful people here. We've had a wonderful time. It's a hot summer night here in North Carolina. Beautiful people, beautiful message. ToshTalk.com. Discuss, define, deliver, and indeed, you already know.